And welcome into the Tuesday edition, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you, live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. We got a lot going on the program today. Brian Callahan remains as Titans head coach for the time being. We'll get into that. Are the Jacksonville Jaguars for real? Is their coach going to try to fight everybody in the league? We'll get into that a little bit later in the show. Are Derrick Henry and the Baltimore Ravens cooked? Because, looked rough the other day. Plus, college game day on the road for Vanderbilt, Alabama, coming up this weekend. And I was thinking about this yesterday. Is this the biggest Vanderbilt game of my life? We'll get into that a little bit later in the show as well. Forget the result. Forget what we know happened last year in the Vanderbilt-Alabama game. Heading into it, is this the biggest Vanderbilt game of my life? We'll discuss that a little bit later in the program as well. Joe Rexrode, happy Tuesday morning to you. What's going on?
Well, thanks. Not much going on. Just whatever's going around. Stop.
There's a lot of
I'm
stuff
trying
going
to
on.
stop. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going around. I know. So I got something, but hanging in there.
Good to know. Good that you're hanging in there, my man. Good that you're
Sure.
hanging in there. Ian Safar, how we doing? What's going on?
Good morning. Doing great. Beautiful weather lately. This past weekend, yesterday, nice to be outside, actually touch some grass, walk around,
We could all
flush myself from the football woes of the week.
Yeah.
It was, but it was good. Yeah. Doing great. Couple of double headers last night, I suppose. Came up short in the fantasy football league against Robby, thanks to Joey Sly missing his 2 field goals this week. So not bitter about that at all. But yeah, doing great.
Hate to see it.
What was the final score?
Oh, it's a good question. Let's pull that up. Ian, do you know it off the top of your head?
It was like in the fantasy league? It was like 115.
124.88 to 115.12.
So I got -2 for his missed kicks.
Plus the points that he didn't get for making it.
And if he would have just made them, I would have gotten 8. It's a 10-point swing. I would have won by 1/4 of a point.
My God, Joey Sly. My God. I didn't realize we get negative points for kickers missing. That's tough, man.
Yeah, league. Right?
Got to draft the right kicker, man.
Well, I'm the idiot for keeping Joey Sly on my team.
Make sure they're accurate.
So
big leg.
Make sure they're accurate out there. Well, speaking of the Titans, Brian Callahan did address the media yesterday, which means that for the moment, he's still got his job. Now, I do think, Joe, that there are some people that are like, oh, wait a minute, hold on now. I mean, Amy Adams-Strong, she doesn't fire people on Mondays. She don't do that. She fires people on Tuesday. So I guess we have to sit here and keep one eye open today in case she makes a move. But I did not get the sense by trotting him out there yesterday to do a press conference that he is going to be fired today. So I guess we'll wait and see on that front. But Brian Callahan was asked about his job security yesterday, and I thought gave an interesting response. Here's what Brian Callahan had to say at his presser.
Do you have assurances that you're going to be able to see this through this season where you're not looking over your shoulder after every Sunday?
Yeah, I don't, whether I do or I don't, or it doesn't matter to me. My job is to try to put our team in position to win as many games as possible and to keep coaching until the day comes that they don't want me to coach here anymore. And that's the reality for everybody that coaches in the league. You don't think too much about it. I don't look for assurances. I can tell you I've always been supported here. I've always felt like the people that I have to work with on a day-to-day basis believe in what we're doing and how we're doing it. But again, I also know how the NFL works. So yeah, I go in every day and I work as hard as I possibly can to try to put ourselves in good position. And I do that for as long as they'll have me. And that's the only way I've ever known how to work. That's how I've worked every spot I've ever been. Your assurances come from how you play and you win. That's at the end of the day, that's just how it always goes. So we got to get ourselves to that spot.
So that was Brian Callahan yesterday at his press conference. And Joe, I took that to mean that he probably has not received any assurances at this point, which I don't think is all that surprising. But well, what did you make of Brian Callahan's answer there? A much less combative press conference yesterday than maybe I thought heading into it with Brian Callahan and the media.
Yeah. It was fine. It was a fine answer. And I don't think anybody gets assurances, and he knows he's in the NFL and he's seen it with his dad. So, I think that was all fine. The Tuesday thing, I'm trying to think of this because yeah, like after he answers all those questions, it would be pretty amazing. Okay, well, thanks for letting us know about all the excitement you have moving forward, and you're fired today. Thank you. It was a great last presser, though.
Really would be.
I mean, because the Tuesday thing may be true, but okay, so Rand obviously didn't have a presser because GMs don't have pressers. J-Rob didn't have a presser because GMs don't have pressers, and Vrabel didn't have a presser either. I think he was supposed to have one that day, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's right, because it was like end of the season, right? So in none of those cases was there a a go out as a sacrificial lamb presser and then we'll zap you the next day situation. Right. I think everybody can expect now that Brian Callahan coaches the next game.
Yes, I think that is probably the case. And then the question becomes after that, how close is a move to being made? I mean, we all know all the numbers. Or is a move close at all? I mean, that's the other thing. Like, is there a possibility that despite how bad it is, despite what the record says, despite the fact that, I mean, by the final scores, they're getting worse as this thing goes on, is there such a buy-in to the patience and the not making rash decisions and everything we've talked about with this franchise that he's just going to get some time here regardless of how angry the fan base is, what the temperature looks like, all those things? I don't know what the answer to that is, but I do know, and I've heard from Titans fans that were pretty surprised that yesterday wasn't the day, that in the aftermath of a 26-0 shutout loss at Houston, the 0-4 start, the losing of 10 games in a row dating back to last year, the 3-18 overall record. I did hear from some Titans fans yesterday, Joe, that were pretty surprised that yesterday was not the day. So it makes you wonder, how close are things really moving forward?
Yeah. I mean, it's very interesting because you look back at the other firings, and if you wanted to put the firings into the context of like how much of the fan base is screaming for it. Okay. J-Rob, no. I mean, there was definitely more people probably on our show, like Robinson has really screwed this up, like he needs to be on the hot seat, right? Like certainly at the end of that year, you would have expected at least a deliberation on that conversation, right? And especially if they did fall out of first place, and that's the crazy thing, I mean, so no. Vrabel, I'd say it was probably, I don't know, you tell me, was it split? I still think it was probably more stay. That to me the Vrabel situation was the classic loud minority.
Yes.
Right. So I agree. Maybe on our text line and stuff and on social media there were people screaming, but I would say fan base, I'd say split, but a little more stay, which was the smart move. Carthon, probably the most of those three, right?
Yeah.
But would you say that the fan base was as galvanized 100% Rand must go right now compared to what they are now with Brian Callahan?
No, I think this is the most by far. I think this is the most united the fan, like of the recent examples that you just laid out there. I think this one by far, just based on the reaction that I can see, I think this one would be the most universally accepted by Titans fans.
Which, of course, means this is the one she won't do.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, Amy, we know that you've been firing a lot of people recently, and we kind of want you to do it this time, but I don't guess that's happening.
Sorry. Yeah, so I look, and I mean, it is 4 games into year 2. with a bad franchise,
Oh, yeah.
with a bad situation. So I mean, like, and again, I will continue to go back to I think the public outcry from those moves I just mentioned, we just talked about, I think that has an effect. I do. And if look, if you basically said to yourself or whatever to your core people you talk to, he gets this year, then which is fine. Like, he gets this year, he gets Cam, he gets this year, and let's just see at the end of the year. And if it looks great, then and if it looks bad, then we move on. And so I mean, if that's the case, now you could then argue, but sometimes you get new information and it's just like, oh boy, you have to do something, which of course they did with the the band-aid of, here, let's switch play calling, let's take
Right.
the play calling out of his hands. So I still looking at the state of things and where they're probably going, I still think it's probably hard for him to get out of this year, but maybe that is the mandate. That's the word from above, and they're going to stick to it.
The mandate from the Mandor. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. So that's where we start today. Brian Callahan at his press conference yesterday. What if he's getting the whole year? What if the Titans are committed to this pledge of patience that they've thrown out there before the season? We'll get your thoughts on that. 615-737-1025, our phone number, plus something Brian Callahan said in his press conference that we will get to later in the hour that, I don't know. I don't know about that one. We'll get into all that coming up. Robby and Rexrode, 1025, The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. 615-737-1025, our phone number. Brian Callahan addressing the media yesterday. Taking your thoughts on that. And what if the Titans are committed to giving him the whole year? What's your reaction if that's the case? Jess on the text line says, if this is a foregone conclusion, what are we doing here? Saving Amy's ego until the time is right? Which I agree with. Like, if you feel like it's a foregone conclusion that you're moving on from your coach, as I was saying yesterday, the onus is shifted. Like, you're going to have to start asking me and answering the question for me of what is the good that is being done by keeping this whole thing in place right now as we are actively watching these things get worse around this football team. And that's, I think, a big question that they've got here moving forward. You know, we've talked a lot, Joe, about the morale and what this thing could eventually devolve into if things don't get a whole lot better around here. And, you know, we're at the end of September, and it already feels so doom and gloom around that place. Well, Brian Callahan was asked yesterday by Kuharski about if there's a feeling of hopelessness around the building. Here's what Brian Callahan had to say in response to that.
Is there a sense of hopelessness in the building, Brian?
Hopelessness? I sure hope not. I don't feel hopeless. I know that. I don't sense that from anybody that works in our building. I don't sense that from our players. Look, we're in a rough stretch. You know, we're 0-4, and that doesn't feel good. No one's excited about that, but I do feel their willingness and you know, there's an excitement about trying to climb out of it too. There's something about that's real competitors relish that challenge, and I think we got a bunch of competitors on our team and on our coaching staff and in our building that are going to fight like crazy to turn this thing, man. That's the fun part about these jobs is you get in these adverse situations and you're trying to find a way out. And trust me, I've done it before, been a part of it before in a couple places, but that reward and that feeling there's nothing like it. And that's what keeps me going, is that moment where we could find a way to get it turned is really something that you can't find anywhere, that feeling of accomplishment. And I think that's what drives us. And I think our guys are excited about the chance to go try to prove it.
So he does not sense, Joe, any hopelessness around the building, which I guess that's good. Don't want to be hopeless in September.
He hopes there's no hopelessness.
He hopes that there's no hopelessness.
So to your point on a pretty chill presser, I mean, Kuharski then tweets. He says, Brian Callahan kind of came alive during his press conference when I asked him if there was a hopelessness permeating the building. Is Kuharski trying to life coach him right now? Is Kuharski transitioning into a life coach career?
Brian, what else is on the building here? Relentlessness, resiliency. What else you got?
He's trying to shepherd Callie through all this. I think that's really great. PK.
I agree.
Yeah. No, it was. I mean, I guess it's like, it's funny because these Monday pressers after the games, that they have sort of dictated follow-ups on his screw-ups.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like 2 of the 3, like they've been largely like trying to clean up exactly what happened, what you knew, who you talked to, and all this stuff. And this is just like, oh, they just stunk and lost. So how's it going? I mean, it's like basically like, the obligatory questions about, do you think you're going to get fired? And
right.
Again, he gave the answer that you would expect. Look, he has been a part of this. It's interesting too that we're talking about this, and I'm watching the Bengals last night, and my goodness, are they down bad without Burrow? They might be cycling back to I don't know. It's like
the
Zach Taylor getting in trouble. Yeah, well, it's like Zach Taylor. Like, I've seen a lot of I don't know if this is true, but I saw a lot on X about he's like 429-1 without Burrow. Is that right?
I mean, probably.
But it's also like, duh, right? It's like, yeah, well, that's the thing. If you have Joe Burrow, you're going to look like a great coach, and if you don't, you're going to potentially look like so. But anyway, it's interesting that that there's some turmoil up there too. But different ideas. Another good one on the text line. texture says is the fact they're building a new stadium, just got Vrabel off the books, doesn't want to go back to paying 2 head coaches, have anything to do with this. And I mean, I think, certainly Amy's paid a lot of people to do a lot of not work for her in the last few years.
Yeah.
However, like if you right now are sitting there, Amy Adams Strunk, or the front office combined, whoever's talking to whoever, and you are not, you still think that Brian Callahan can save this and be the coach next year, that's one thing. If you don't, then what's the savings? It's pretty minimal, right?
Yeah.
So I guess that would be my answer. Like if you're going to fire him at the end of the year anyway, okay, so that's a few months of paying him not to work for you, right? So, and then where is this come from, Robby? This thing from Ed. Is this like a Stilly special, giving credence to the rumor that Amy, that Brinker wanted to fire him, but Amy, stepped in and saved him?
Yes, I believe that's where that came from.
Okay, so it doesn't necessarily come from anywhere credible. Okay, all right. By the way, did you see the Stillfeld thing? He sent it to me yesterday. Did you see that?
Oh yeah, he sent it to me immediately after our show.
I like the concept. I like Paul Kaharski as the soup Nazi. That's a nice touch. Got it, and I like the Seinfeld music. Got to be a little, like I said, like you got to be funnier though. You got to have some jokes in there, man. You got to have some.
Step it up.
Got to have some observational comment. Okay, so that's a Stilly special. Yeah, I again, they debated. And they kept him. The idea that Amy saved him, I guess I'd like to hear that from another source before I buy that. And even if that's the case, if you're Amy Adams Strunk, you were a few months before you fired John Robinson, you gave him a massive deal and had a statement about how he's the most amazing guy. Like so like new information can change your mind anyway, even if there is truth to that.
Let's head to our 1025 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Roy to the program. Roy, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, thanks, guys. We can all sit back and just think and wonder when is he going to get canned or when is he not going to get canned. This fan base and everybody in the NFL is sitting back and looking at the Titans. Our track record with coaches winning and losing and hiring and firing over the last decade or so. Mooncheck, Windenhut, Malarkey, and Vrabel. What is the magic number for wins and losses? Right now, you can kind of say Windenhut and Callie is pretty much neck and neck. I have no clue. I will say this: I really feel like if he continues with these losses, when Vrabel comes in here, if we still have nothing but zeros on the boards, and Vrabel takes care of business and gets a win in Nissan Stadium, I'm pretty sure he should be gone by then. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Roy. Appreciate it. Joe, I've thought about this over the last couple of weeks here. Like the Houston game, we made a big deal about last week because we know the history of the game in Houston and what that's meant to the Adams family. And, we've talked about the Vrabel game since the moment the schedule came out here as to maybe that's the time when if Brian Callahan doesn't have it figured out that he gets fired at that point. Like, are those just too obvious? Are they too obvious dates where Amy Adams Strunk is like, no matter what happens, I'm not firing him after the Houston game or after Vrabel comes in here because it's way too obvious and people have been talking about it for months at this point?
No, I like where your brain is going there. It's like you're conscious of what people say, and you don't want to become like so like predictable that you're like a dog sniffing a butt. It's like it's like.
Well said.
Yeah. Thank you. We had to get butt somewhere in the. We've done nearly a half hour of this show, and we have not even said we ass one time yet. So, which I'm very disappointed Callahan didn't do yesterday.
Yeah,
at least for fun. Like, hey guys, good to see you. We ass, and I'll take your questions. But no, I think you're onto something. Like the idea of like I'm not just gonna do the obvious thing that the Vrabel game thing. Like how many times did that get brought up over the summer?
Oh, all the time.
Like a million, right? So I'm with you. It'll be like the random, like who's a random team they play. It'll be
Chargers.
Like the second Colts game or hardball that'll be the last straw. I agree. Like not being completely predictable is something that people like to do too sometimes.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. There was another thing that Brian Callahan said at his press conference yesterday that was related to a change they made on the field that I was like, well, great. That's awesome. Really worked out well this week. We'll get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Tuesday morning, taking your thoughts on the Titans at 615-737-1025. By the way, Joe, people wanting to know how we feel about the Tigers Guardians later today. Game 1 coming up.
Who? Who's that?
I guess that's how we're feeling.
Oh, of course, I'll be watching.
Look, they got all the losses out of the way at the end of the regular season, and now it's go time for the playoffs.
Yeah. Hey, playoffs are crazy, man. Playoffs are crazy. Hey, it's today. It's all, today is Scooble. Scooble goes. So he can provide hope. And the good thing is if we don't win today, then then it's like, fine, there you go. Scuba didn't win, end the misery tomorrow, move on. So look,
You sound very
I'm
defeated.
not optimistic. Yeah, I mean that's the worst September in the history of baseball for a team that then played in the postseason.
Yeah.
But it's also, look,
Hey, you could be the
it's not
Mets.
It's true.
Yes, I still would rather, be us than the Mets. Sorry, Willie. Sorry, TD. Sorry, anybody else who's a Mets fan. And the reality is, as defeated as I am, the baseball postseason often completely changes everything. So I'm not. Don't let me talk myself into it.
We're all Tigers fans today.
I'll be living and dying with every pitch today. And if Scooble gets them, then it's like, okay, can you find a way to get them in one of the next 2 days? And I still can't say I'm optimistic, but I'll take that. I'll take that scenario, please.
Yeah, go Tigers, baby. See how it goes later today. Brian Callahan addressed not calling plays for the first time as a head coach yesterday at his press conference, and went through that process, said something in there where I was like, okay. This is what Brian Callahan had to say yesterday at his press conference.
I haven't gotten the opportunity to step back and not call the plays. What did you gain on game day from doing that yesterday?
Yeah, it was unique. That was a weird feeling for me, but there definitely was. It was clearer on a lot of, just in terms of like, there's not that much going on. I just do a lot of listening on both sides and just making sure we're paying attention to where we are situationally and the things that are coming up or could be coming up. I did go try to spend more time talking to the players over the course of the game. So it was trying to find out where I'd fit in like that. That was different. Again, I've only known calling games, as the head coach. So it was a unique experience. Again, I don't know if it was good or bad or not, but it was different. And I felt like there was some positives from it though.
Some positives from it, Joe, that, he wasn't calling plays anymore, but he did get to talk to the players more on the sideline, which the whole thing resulted in 0 points and not a trip to the red zone for the Tennessee Titans against the Houston Texans on Sunday. Good stuff, guys. Worked out well.
Hey, Callie, can you go talk to the defense now, please? Callie, can you go over there, please? Yeah, it's like, wow, that really, really paid off, guys. So seriously, if you're looking at that game and you had to just the coaching, because let's be real. I think that game and every game this year, what you're going to see is some talent deficiency that keeps showing up in a lot of areas. But if you're breaking that game down by play calling versus operation, which was worse? There were no massive operational gaffes that I can recall.
No, I don't think there were big time operational gaffes.
The two trick plays seemed like they just completely did not fit at all.
Yeah.
It's just like, don't do that there.
Well, they didn't trick.
And I understand. I am totally on board for the most part with, play didn't work. Call the good play. Don't call the bad play. The bad play didn't work. I get it. But also, yeah, I feel like, there's a time, place, and I think maybe a certain level of success too that gives you a chance for a trick play to work.
Well, to me, it just further solidified what my point has kind of been the entire time on this. Look, I don't think Brian Callahan is Sean McVay. But to me, if he's going to be your head coach and you brought him in to be the offensive guy that worked with the quarterback and part of it was what you wanted him to be the play caller, then just let him go down with the ship doing that, right? Like, you need to figure out whether
yes.
So because I do think like there were some Titans fans last week that were like, well, Bo Hardegree, the last little bit he was an interim in with the Raiders, that went well. And it's like, well, kind of. Like, go look at it. It was okay. It's not like he came in there and was, Kyle Shanahan or anything. So like the fact that they switch play calling and immediately come out with a 0 point performance, like I'm with you. Like it's probably more to do with the fact that their offense is just absolutely terrible. Like it's just buns, cheeks, whatever adjective you want to describe with their offense. But I was watching it, and about to the third quarter, I was like, okay, let's just get Brian Callahan back to calling plays, because if this is eventually going to work, I mean, doesn't that have to be part of it? Like, you just going to, if he's head coach and he does a good enough job from here on out the rest of the year, somehow by some miracle they turn this thing around, that you feel like he's going to be your head coach moving forward? Is he not going to be a play caller next year? It was like, you're just like, the whole thing just doesn't make sense to me, which we talked about from the very jump of this.
Right. So earlier we are talking about how maybe they just have this plan and they're sticking to it, but I promise you that the plan was not. And then, if we need to, we'll just we'll strip them of play calling
right
after 3 freaking games. So that right there kind of throws the idea they're already doing things that they didn't intend to do. And again, I've said it before, but I've never had an issue with his play calling. Too many of them don't work. I don't really look at too many of them not working and all this offensive struggling as play calling as an issue. Again, if he were better, probably more would work, and he would figure out some more ways and better ways to try to change the math and smoke and mirrors their way to points, but I just haven't. Like, watching Todd Downing as OC with you guarantee yourself that on 2nd and 10 they are running the football.
Yeah.
And some of the predictability with him, or some of the predictability with Terry Robisky in that 17 season that I think finally got to me, again, first guessing calls, not just second guessing because it didn't work. I had a lot more issue with that play calling than Brian Callahan's play calling. But it's a terrible team. And so they did what they did. But I'm with you. It's just like that's why we were arguing the whole idea. It's like, well, that's the core of what he is as a coach. I mean, he's the guy who, if it's good, he's the guy who allows you to have success and not have to worry about losing your OC to another head coaching job, which certainly with this staff, that doesn't seem to be any kind of concern at all.
Doesn't have to be a worry on that front.
So, oh well, they did what they did and they lost 26-0.
Well, and again, like I'm with you. I've never necessarily thought that Callahan's play calling is a problem. I do think it's pretty clear at this point that it's not an elevator, right? Like there are some guys around the league that elevate the roster that they have because they are very good. Like for whatever reason, like it doesn't really seem to matter what quarterback the San Francisco 49ers throw in there, whether it's Mac Jones or Brock Purdy or Jimmy Garoppolo or whoever, because Kyle Shanahan's pretty darn good, right? Like that's what it is. And yes, they have a very talented roster. It's going the other way on them now and they're getting older, but through this run, they've had a very talented roster and that helps. But I think if you've watched Callahan, it's clear that despite the roster limitations, he's not like super genius. He's not like that play call you look at and you're like, yeah, they're going to start hiring everybody that Brian Callahan has ever shook hands with because they've been around Brian Callahan. Like, he's not that guy. But I still think, like, if you're the Titans trying to figure out where it's going from here, like, just let him go down with the ship. So, look, it's probably too late now. I doubt very seriously that they're going to take play calling away from him and then just immediately give it back to him after 1 week. Like, that would almost be as dumb as taking it away from him the first time. So, it's probably a lost cause at this point. But again, like if you're a Titans fan and you thought that, oh, well, the Titans' offensive issues are about to be solved because Bo Hardery's coming in calling plays, I think we saw on Sunday that that's not the case.
Yeah, they're going to stick with this. That would be hilarious. I mean, again, that'd be like Michael Scott snip, snap, snip, snap. I can't. Speaking of which, I got my world's best boss cup, even though I'm the boss of no one. Someone's on the text, it's not about his play calling, it's about his stupid offense. There's nothing wrong with this offense. I mean, this offense is the most popular offense in the NFL. And you can go around and find different spots where it lights people up because it blocks, throws, catches, runs way better than these guys do. Yeah. It's not the scheme. The scheme is not a problem. By the way, I did on the stuff we've been talking about. Before I forget about this, Robby, someone texted that Andrew said last night that He thinks Brinker and Borgonzi are keeping Callahan to shield them. So Callahan is a meat shield.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thought. I mean, I don't know how does it work that way?
I don't know.
Can multiple people not be fired? I guess it's just like the longer it goes till he gets fired, then I have a little bit longer till I get fired. Is that the idea?
I guess. I mean, on the Borgonzi front, like I don't know why he would be in any jeopardy at all at this point. I mean, you just hired him, and
you just hired him, and the first draft still looks
promising.
Yeah, it looks better. It looks more good than bad.
But the Brinker thing, if that's his thought process, I've said the whole time. Look, we said this the day after Rand Carthon got fired last year, Joe. I think I said, and we could probably go back and find the audio at some point, but I think I said basically, this is what the Titans do. They fired Rand Carthon. Brian Callahan's going to be left around, and the team's going to be so bad that this time next year, we're going to be doing the same thing all over again. They're going to be firing the head coach, and they'll have a new general manager in there, and they won't be on the same time clock, all these things. But one of the things we talked about in the immediate aftermath for the next 2 weeks of Rand Carthon being fired of, okay, you fired Rand. I understand it. Rand wasn't very good. Guess who was with him the whole time? Is Brinker. And that's still that's the thing in all of this, with all this stuff that's going on with the Titans, that just continues to make no sense to me. That Brinker has been right there through this the whole time and has been elevated and elevated and elevated. And I guess now is just in great standing with Amy Adams Strunk. And I'm like, okay. I mean, based on what? Based on what to this point?
Yeah, no, I mean right. And again, then it just gets into, I mean, I guess all the moves that have worked out, you could argue those Rand were the one pushing those, and the very few that have worked out, that was I mean, I don't know. I think it's more probably endearing yourself to the owner. But yeah, no question. He can't separate himself from those failures. So you would think, but I guess you would think he would be next after Callahan, but who knows? I mean, who knows? Who knows? But the only thing that I feel confident about is that, like the Borgonzi part of it, you would think my gosh, you'd get a little bit of time, right?
You would think so. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. A lot more of your thoughts to get to on the Titans front. We will do that coming up next. Later in the program, we will get into Vanderbilt and a huge game against Alabama coming up this weekend, a battle of an undefeated Vanderbilt and an Alabama team that just had a huge win against Georgia. More on that later in the program. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Taking your thoughts on the Titans, 615-737-1025. 615-737-1025. Dave in Big Rock says, part of this fan base is so over the run, pass, kick brand of conservative football. That's what got Vrabel, and it looks like an extension of an offensive strategy here. I don't know that I agree with that.
No, I don't either.
I think you could make the argument that they probably need to run the ball more than they do here. By the way, we talked about Tony Pollard last week. I thought he had a nice game. I think he was 4-6 a carry in this game. So a little bit better than what we saw the week before in that matchup. So we'll see what this looks like for him moving forward here. But, I mean, the other part of that, Joe, is the Titans have been down so much with Brian Callahan as head coach that they've had to throw the ball in these games. So I don't know that I buy that the run, pass, punt has been a very common thing.
I mean, look at the best teams in the NFL for the most part, and look at the correlation between that and running success. No, it's an inability to do anything, which makes you think it's conservative because you score no points. But it's not right.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just an ineffective. Now, again, I understand that like Leighton Vrabel with Derrick Henry here, they were dependent on him, and they had no passing game to help him to open things up. So I get that. But again, it comes down, look when they had they had arguably the best offense in the NFL, or certainly one of the top 2 or 3 offenses in the NFL, which is the last half of 2019 and really all of 2020. That was just a very down the middle balanced offense. It was not predictable. You had the 2,000-yard running back, but you also had A.J. Brown and Corey Davis and Jonnu Smith, et cetera, et cetera. You had that's what you need. You need balance. Joe from Maryland says someone on the radio yesterday said guys are open, Cam's not seeing them. Has Callahan schemed guys open, or is that false? I'm not watching the all-22s here, Joe, but I can say with confidence, absolutely, there's plays. There's guys open. There's plays to be made. I don't think there's anything wrong with the offensive scheme or Callahan's play calling. Like you said, Robbie, it's not spectacular, but again, when you have a combination of you have way too many plays where either the blocking breaks down or the quarterback, doesn't see it or misses the throw. The rookie quarterback, you can understand that, but I'm just saying, absolutely. If you had clean pockets and a quarterback playing at a high level, yes, there are guys open, 100%. I mean, look, you play against zone coverage enough. I mean, like there are guys open against a zone. There's a weakness on a defense on every play in football. It's a matter of being able to locate it, identify it, and get the ball there.
Yeah, and look, with what they have at wide receiver, are guys being quote unquote schemed open often enough? Does Cam Ward have just this smorgasbord of easy access throws out there where guys are wide open all the time? No, I wouldn't say that. That doesn't happen very often in the NFL. Like you do see it from time to time, but not very often in the NFL. Again, I don't think the system is the problem here. Now, Jared on the YouTube chat is talking about play sequencing, not play calling. And
it's the same thing, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's similar. I mean, it's when you sequence plays, I guess is when you call plays. So it is, kind of the same thing from that regard. Is the timing of when to call plays always right with Brian Callahan? Clearly not.
And that's what play,
right? I mean, yeah. We've talked about that earlier this year.
That's what good play calling is.
Yeah, for sure.
It's setting plays up, and so again, I don't distinguish play calling and play sequencing. It's the order of the plays is just as that's central. That's what play calling is, right? I mean, each play, do you have a plan? I mean, McVay, famously has a lot of games he has really good stuff to set up a defense, make them think one thing, and then he hits them with the the counter to that later. So
well, even here, I thought Arthur Smith was really good at that. Now, and some of that was based on the talent they have, right? Like when you've got the offensive line they have at the end of 2019, and you've got Derrick Henry playing at the level he was playing at in 2020. I mean, that's pretty darn good, right? Like that's you've got a lot of talent around you. But like I thought Arthur Smith was really good at setting some things up early in the game and then doing something different off of those setups as the game went on, which is why he got a head coaching job.
Yes. But I mean, like, and there are people who are above and beyond. I do think like a McVay, but these guys, what do they do? This is what they do all week long. Like this is their job. They have just mounds of data. They can break down every coverage, every possibility. They can break down individual matchups, which is what a lot of this is, right? It's like, okay, there's the weak link. We need to get the slot fade, just like the Texans set up Amani Hooker for the slot fade. And it's like, yes, Amani Hooker matched up against the slot fade. Yep, that's a free touchdown. But like I don't think it's that hard, frankly, to draw things up that would work or to use the data. This is your profession. You've done this for years/decades. But but now Arthur Smith, like does he moves forward and people think he's an idiot. And why is that? Same guy, same knowledge. So why did things not work for him later? And again, I know right now it's going all right.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, some people aren't cut out to be head coaches either. That's the other part of this. Like some people are good offensive coordinators and not head coaches.
Yes. But I also think even just the offensive aspect of like the Falcons, right? They just didn't. I don't think it's because Arthur Smith got dumb for a few years. I think that if you can dominate up front and you have great skill, all your stuff looks so much better. And I'm not flipping that around and making a total excuse for Brian Callahan. I just don't think that the play calling aspect of it is the issue here. It's the CEO part of it that is clearly, to me, the much bigger issue.
615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Brian Callahan did rave about one player in particular yesterday, and I wonder what that could mean for him moving forward. We'll get into that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Tuesday morning, live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. We'll have the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up later this hour at 7:45. Take your thoughts in the meantime, 615-737-1025. Joe, as we know, not a very good start to the season for the Titans as a whole. It has been a pretty good start to the season for Jeffrey Simmons, although we did get somebody yesterday that said that he sucked so far this year. So I guess it's in the eye of the beholder of what you thought of Jeffrey Simmons, the way that he's played to this point. I think he's been pretty darn good. I think it's been pretty darn noticeable how much better he's been this year than maybe the last couple of years, and we've talked about that heading into it. And Brian Callahan was asked about Jeffrey Simmons and what he's seen from him to this point in the season yesterday at his press conference. Here is what Brian Callahan had to say.
Give a positive, just play. How good has he been? How good was he yesterday?
Man,
when we talk about player leadership, how much do you point to his play and hope guys follow him?
That's it. I'm happy you asked that and gave me an opportunity to point it out, because Jeff has played at a level that I've not seen many defensive players play at. He's been absolutely fantastic in every way, shape, or form you could ask of him. I don't know that there's somebody playing interior defensive line at the level he's playing at right now. I mean, he's been phenomenal. He's been super disruptive in the running game. He's getting pressure and push on the quarterback. And then I think what the area that I'm probably the most proud of him and excited for him is his leadership and how he carries himself and talks to the team. And that area of his professional growth has been incredible. It's really been cool to see that maturity process in the leadership role. It's cool. It really is. And he's backing it up with how he plays. And I point him out all the time because, you got a team of guys that can play like Jeff plays. Now, Jeff's also supremely talented. He's one of the top players in his position for a reason. But he backs it up with how he works and how he plays and the effort he plays with and the tenacity he plays with. And then on top of that, he's really grown in a leadership role. So he's been fantastic.
So pretty high praise from Brian Callahan directed at Jeffrey Simmons yesterday. Joe, what did you make of that answer about Simmons and the high praise from the head coach?
Well, I don't think there's any question he's playing at a dominant level, and whatever statistical evidence you subscribe to, you can go find it out there to tell you that he is what you're seeing on the field is matching, the underlying numbers, the regular traditional numbers. I mean, he's playing great. Which, by the way, I said he was going to do this summer. I'm just saying.
You did
practice. Thank you. But yeah, I mean, look, it makes sense. The guy got in better shape and he's quicker. I mean, it was a snap anticipation more than anything on that play. But also, boy, did he get skinny and explode off the line to the point where the Texans couldn't. I had no idea that he was behind everybody when he sacked Stroud the other day, So that was a combination to me of you saw the quickness on display too, the elevated quickness. I did listen to Callahan there talk, and he starts getting into the leadership, and I'm like, boy, is he trying to sell teams on him? And by the way, the one red flag that people may have, with the thing with the reporter last year and this and that. No, that's not true. Now, do I really think that Brian Callahan was doing that? No. I thought that was a really interesting commentary on the leadership aspect, which, as we've talked about at times, I think Simmons has always been good with his teammates, but not necessarily as an outward leader. I don't know that I don't know. Is he any different, like post-game media stuff like that? I don't know, but I guess he's not combative, so that's good.
Well, there's a lot of comments on the text line about him trying to increase Jeff's trade value.
Yeah, I mean, that's what came to mind.
I mean, if that's what he's doing, he's even worse at reading the room than I thought. If I'm Brian Callahan, the last thing on the planet I'm worried about right now is Jeff Simmons' trade value, or anybody else's trade value for that matter. You know what that means? It means you're getting fired, bub. So, like, I'm not
Right.
worried at all if I'm Brian Callahan about selling Jeff Simmons to anybody else around the league. If I'm Brian Callahan, I'm like, no, keep Jeff Simmons because I'd like to have him help me win some football games out there. That'd be great.
Yeah, let's move 98 so we can start giving up 35 to 40 points a game. Let's do that. That sounds like a great idea.
I think
Well, it's
I think a lot of these fans are hearing that and hearing what they want to hear out of that rather than what reality is. Brian, I can promise you, Brian Callahan is not trying to sell Jeff Simmons to other teams up there, knowing full well that he may get fired at the drop of a hat here with this team.
unless Berserker said, "Hey, man, if you can talk people into it and we can get a first, you get the rest of the year." What do you say? What do you say, Brian? You're the guy with the microphone. Make it happen, baby.
What a tight move that would be.
Yeah. Ed says, what if Callahan decides the best thing for Cam is to sit him for a month and observe? And I'm like, that would be, it's the same thing. It's like, please fire me. Please fire me right now. Just go ahead. Just fire me, please. Let's trade Simmons.
You know what you guys really need to see? Let's see some Brandon Allen at quarterback.
Yeah. Then it'll look better around here. Yeah. So, but I mean, it is interesting to hear that stuff. I mean, it's like, it kind of goes along with, though, it's so hard when you have things like this and then you look at the product and it's like, okay, yes, everybody can see that Simmons is playing extremely well. I would hope. I mean, everybody but like the one texter yesterday, he sucks.
Yeah.
Like, okay. I mean, I understand the team does, but it's also like when you talk about the leadership and him and behind the scenes and all that stuff, that sounds great. It sounds like, man, our week of practice was so freaking good, And then it's like, yeah, okay, now let's watch the team play football against another NFL team. And it's just all that stuff just kind of falls on deaf ears. I mean, it's just like, okay, what does it mean? What does it matter?
Yeah. It's – and I go back to what I said yesterday. Like, if I'm Simmons, I'm looking at the situation right now. You've lost 10 in a row or whatever it is, dating back to last year. You're 0-4 this year with no end in sight in terms of what this is going to look like. Like, I know that his leadership has been good. I mean, that was good. I'm with you. That was the most interesting part about the answer from Callahan yesterday, because I think we can all see what Simmons is doing on the field and how impressive that's been. But kind of the behind the scenes stuff has always been the knock on him. So to hear that part of it, I think is really good. But if I'm Simmons still, I'm looking around at this situation and I'm being like, yeah, just get me out of here, man. Like, just please, as you guys start selling people off and trying to rebuild this franchise, send me somewhere. And I don't know that that's what he's doing. I'm just saying, if it were me, that's what I'd be doing if I were Jeff Simmons.
Yes. Oh, no doubt. But if you're Brian Callahan, and like he said yesterday, like, he knows what the NFL is. He's 3-18. If you're Brian Callahan and they do start moving these guys, and you get to the point where it's like this team, I mean, already I think it's the worst team in the NFL.
Yeah. With
Simmons playing top 3-4 defensive tackle in the league right now, I think I could say that with decent I think top 5. And with some other guys who, have some talent. So start moving some of those guys, and then what chance you have? It's almost like at that point, I mean, seriously, it almost would be like, you know what? I'll take the money to chill out and hang out with my family the rest of the season. And this is the way it's going to go
just
anyway.
Go ahead and fire me.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so, and it is, we'll talk about this in coming weeks. Thank goodness we have stuff like this so we don't have to talk about the draft. But who out there would be so desperate? Because someone brought up the Ravens, who have massive, and we're going to talk about the Ravens, they have massive injuries up front on defense and all over their defense. Is there a team out there that is good enough and he is potentially enough of an answer for that team this year, that he could potentially fetch a first? By the way, I'm glad we came to this, as I just keep stream of consciousness talking out loud. We talked about the first round picks. I did look this up. There have been a few of the first round picks. We're talking about with Ian yesterday. So let me just run through a couple. Exactly, the in season. Most of those first round picks that Ian mentioned yesterday were like in the offseason, but Bradley Chubb, the Dolphins gave up first and 22. Amari Cooper, Cowboys gave up a first. Jalen Ramsey, I think, was 2 first-rounders. Remember that one in 19 to the Rams that bleeped them picks, and then Minka Fitzpatrick to the Steelers.
Okay.
So those are the ones in the last decade that have. So that does happen. McCaffrey, I was like, oh yeah, McCaffrey, but that actually was not. There was like a second, third, fourth. It was a bunch, but it wasn't a first. But anyway, there is. It's not frequent. It's not common, but it does happen. And I've been skeptical of Simmons getting a first, but if there's a team that's the issue, maybe it's possible.
Let's head to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Mark in Nashville to the program. Mark, good morning. How we doing?
Hey, what's up, Robby? What's up, Joe? Joe, you feeling better today, man? Joe, get you some bear milk, man. You drink a glass of bear milk. Now, I'm not gonna tell you what the ingredients in that bear milk is, but Joe, you'll feel 100% when you come to work tomorrow. It may get rid of that gout that you be getting too, Joe.
Oh boy,
it's some potent stuff, man. It's potent, Joe. But
you said bear milk?
Bear milk. That's what he call it, Joe. I'm not gonna tell you what's in the bear milk.
I'm afraid, but I'll Google it.
Okay. But hey, Joe, you left one team out. A couple of first-round picks. They're having trouble stopping the run. They could, make a big and get Big Jeff. I mean, he does need to go somewhere else. You all say top 5. I say top 3. He's playing Pro Bowl, all-pro style of ball right now. Maybe one of his best years ever. So I'm going to give him a little more credit than that, man. So I'd like to see him go. Joe, I don't know if they could get a first for him. I mean, if you could get 2 twos for him, that'd be just as good, I think. But they're going to have to do something with that squad. But, Joe, Robby, I was thinking about something the other day. Callahan, as long as he stays here, will go down as one of the worst coaches ever. And history has shown that with that record following him, I don't think he'll ever be a head coach again, man, let alone he may get a quarterback position. Maybe he had to go to college. But I think this job right here has destroyed his career, man. And it ain't really of his fault because we all know the Titans are a bad organization, and they hadn't really done a heck of a lot to help him. So, but he's going to have to live with that. And the frustration he's been showing lately, I mean, it kind of sums it up. But I just wanted to throw that out. I know him and Wisenhunt were two of the worst coaches ever.
Oh, yeah.
But you don't want to have that stigma hanging over your head as one of the worst coaches ever in a franchise. That's not good for Callahan. But I'm looking at the game, Robby, Joe, y'all. I know y'all on the clock with him getting fired. I'm looking at that game with the Patriots because if Vrabel comes in here, he's going to be mad. He's going to have his team amped up, ready to play, and try to put as many points as he can put up. If he can run the score up, he's going to do it because he's got a lot to prove anyway. So I think that's the game that Callahan has to look at on his calendar. 2 men in a truck, Callahan. You might well get ready to start calling them because they'll come over and get you moved out of that. So there you go, Callahan. Y'all have a good one, Robert. We're going to head to Atlanta, man. We'll see y'all.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate the call. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Another team in the AFC South that I'm starting to ask the question, are they for real? We'll get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you. Joe, another team in the AFC South that I'm looking at and starting to wonder, are they good? Jacksonville, 3-1 after the first 4 games of the year, with wins over Carolina, Houston, and on the road this past Sunday against the San Francisco 49ers. So a 3-1 start. They've got Kansas City coming up on Monday Night Football next week at home in Duval. That Milky Pool going to be flowing out there on Monday Night Football next week against the Kansas City Chiefs. So looking forward to that. You got Trevor Lawrence that I would say has been okay so far when you go and look at the numbers, but nothing spectacular on that front. Travis Hunter made a huge catch in the game on Sunday against San Francisco. But defensively, they've been pretty good to this point. I mean, they gave up 10 against Carolina. They gave up 10 against Houston. They gave up 21 against San Francisco. The loss being to Cincinnati with Joe Burrow, where they gave up 31 in that game. But I think one of those things where –
And probably should have won.
And probably should have won the game, yeah. So there's also that you have to factor in as well. So 3-1 for the Jags under Liam Cohen, as multiple Titans fans on the text line have pointed out. Liam Cohen has already matched the win total of Brian Callahan in 4 weeks. So there is that to keep in mind. What have you made of Jacksonville, Liam Cohen, and this start that the Jaguars have had to this season? Are they for real? Are they a playoff contender in the AFC?
Duval.
Yeah, I mean, look, I actually feel better about the Colts right now still than the Jags. The game they blew the other day, the Colts, I watched the whole game and I'm bought in, man. Like, I actually think they're going to be, I think it's Colts Jags. I think it's Colts Jags to the end. Maybe the Texans can get back in there, and we won't even mention the Titans. But I think the Texans, man, it's tough offensively and up front offensively for them. You know, they're kind of living in that Titans world of, just not being able to figure out how to put together a good offensive line. It's much worse here, but still, like, that's my concern for them. And I think the Jags are good. I think Cohen's good. You know, he was good with the Bucs. The Bucs are still good without him, but I think some of the stuff they talked about, him coming in there, like would diversify their offense a little bit, try to give Trevor Lawrence more help with the run game. I think they're an all-around pretty good football team. Like, they're a good enough football team to hang in and be in the AFC South race. Now, I would advise Liam Cohen to be a little bit more selective with the coaches he wants to talk trash to, as he's coming off the field and stuff like that. I mean, my goodness.
Just do Vrabel next. Go from solid of Vrabel and get Dan Campbell in there at some point.
I was going to say, you get Dan Campbell, you got him coming up anytime soon, I mean, go mess with, same state. Go mess with Mike McDaniel, okay? You guys can have a little slap fest, but
Brian Callahan, beat him twice.
There you go. That's fine. I mean, I'd probably take Callahan. Although Cohen's got a little, he's feisty. He is feisty. Hey, Liam Cohen, look, I know the Will Levis stuff is now sort of, some people want to revise the history on that, but when Will Levis played well enough in college football that people were talking about him as the number 1 overall pick, Liam Cohen was the guy, working with him. So, I mean, that's maybe that's me even a little bit more impressive now looking back on it.
I mean, I think the real story here is your boy, James Gladstone, has come in and immediately has changed the culture down there in Jacksonville. Get Travis Hunter in, who they've been hunting up. I mean, James Gladstone set the tone this offseason, and here Jacksonville is at 3-1.
Hey, guys, we got no problems here. We're going to take it all the way.
And we want him
to
be nothing more than him.
The NFL's got to put a stop to this. How have they allowed this team to get to 3-1?
You think they're cheeks still?
No, but like, you can't have a head coach going, Duval, and the general manager doing that stuff and be rewarded with actual football wins
And
when the
Liam
fall
Cohen
comes
wants
around.
wants to fight the
Yeah,
opposing coaches on the field
You got all
after
this
the
stuff
game.
going on, and they're winning games. Shouldn't be that way.
I mean, at San Francisco is not an easy place to win.
No.
So Purdy was back, although I guess his toe was dinged up still. But yeah, I guess it's a pretty solid win. I would be surprised if the Titans were able to put up any type of fight on the road in San Francisco.
We'll find out later this year.
Hey, look, sometimes this game rewards the douchey, you know? It's just how it is, man. Sometimes it works out that way. I mean, even like McVay, right? A little bit, you know? I guess it's a little less now that he's a little older. It seems like he's toned it down, but I mean, how annoying was that guy? Especially for the first few years when like no one could stop talking about him, you know? I mean, you know, some of his like talks to the teams, like, oh my God, the cringe level was pretty high. But yeah, these two guys together, it is amazing that it's going so well. But that just goes to show you, you know, you can have whatever personality. Again, everybody likes Brian Callahan's personality, right? I mean, like when the product's bad, everybody turns on anybody.
Yeah.
But personality wise, smart, you know, not doofusy, all that stuff. But you know, then the product is what it is. I am trying to think of like anyone that would compare to these two in terms of like, there's no way they should be good based on some of the stuff they do, especially Gladstone, but they are. But maybe Gladstone's really freaking smart.
Travis Hunter is who we've been hunting up.
Thank you, James. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. So Jacksonville off to a very good start. There's another team, the AFC, that it is stunning the start that they're off to this season. We'll get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
The game was out of hand, so we're not sure whether they took him out because the game wasn't close and they were resting him, or whether this is the type of hamstring injury, as many are, that can sideline Lamar Jackson a week or two. Now, let's keep in mind, the Ravens play the Texans this upcoming week. They have one more game, and then they have a bye.
Right.
So that could enter in depending on how that hamstring is. But hamstrings, it's a strain. They're muscles. They're tough to predict. They'll see how he's doing during the week, gauge it, and we'll see whether Lamar Jackson can bounce back next week for a team that needs him, for a defense that's failing them. Lamar Jackson's been pressing. There's a lot of things right now that Baltimore has to work through, but none may be bigger than that hamstring.
For sure. They have
That's Adam Schefter discussing Lamar Jackson and the hamstring injury that he has sustained. Joe, the Ravens off to a 1-3 start. We said it heading into the weekend. Ravens and the Chiefs. One of those teams was going to lose and drop to 1-3, and it's Baltimore. And Lamar Jackson, the latest in what has been a laundry list of injuries to the Ravens to this point. And their defense, frankly, has been horrible. I mean, they gave up 41 to Buffalo in week 1. They won 41-17 against Cleveland. And in the 2 weeks since then, they've given up 38 to Detroit and 37 to Kansas City. So you're talking in 3 of your 4 games so far, you've given up 37 or more points. That's not very good. Bad defense for the Baltimore Ravens. They're 1-3. They got Houston coming up this weekend. They got the Rams the week after that. And you look at the rest of where they're at in their division right now, and you can view it a couple of ways. I mean, Cleveland's not very good. Cleveland's got a very good defense, but I think the wins are going to be limited for Cleveland as they move forward this year. Cincinnati doesn't have Joe Burrow, which is clearly, if you watched them last night, a big problem for them. Pittsburgh's 3-1. Old Man River. Aaron Rodgers has come in, and they got the win over in Ireland this weekend against Minnesota. They are 3-1. So you got a 3-1 Steelers team and a 1-3 Baltimore Ravens team right now. And my question to you, Joe, is, are the Ravens cooked? When you look at their start to the season, how bad they've been on defense, and now what could be a lingering hamstring issue for Lamar Jackson, how worried are you about the Baltimore Ravens with this start?
They're going to win the AFC North.
There we go. So not very worried.
So put me down right here, September 30th, 2025. They're going to win the AFC North. And look, if Joe Burrow weren't hurt and the standings looked exactly the same as they do right now, I wouldn't say that, but he is. And the Bengals are going to be bad, and the Browns are, the Browns have a great defense. And by the way, the Browns lost 34-10 to the Lions.
Yeah.
They held them like 270 total yards. I mean, the Lions have a great offense. So I'm not saying I give the Ravens a pass on that, but that was like, that's a very good offense. And the Chiefs, I mean, I guess, did Sunday tell us more about the Chiefs or the Ravens? I think it told us that the Ravens, like you said, like they are not good on D. I think they're missing 6 starters on D. And they're going to get some of them back. I don't think they're going to be great though on D, and that's the thing. They have to be great on offense. Now, my prediction that I just said right there may look really bad if this is a hamstring thing that's going to be like a week's issue. And the hamstrings are tough, man, because you feel like you're fine. Think about like the Julio Jones year here. It's like, okay, he's all fine. He's had a couple weeks, and then, there you go. Pulls it again, and you can never totally get away from it. Or Christian Fulton. I mean, I see it all the time, and obviously the way Lamar plays, I mean, it just doesn't really he could still go out there and just be a pocket quarterback and be good, but like, that's not what you want to do. I mean, their whole offense is predicated on the threat. So that'd be the one thing that could derail it. But I also think that they are, and again, I'll go back to Simmons. I think that, I think the Ravens and the Cowboys are the 2 teams that stand out to me when it comes to Jeff Simmons, just because one, that's the type of crap Jerry Jones would do. Yeah. And their D is bad. Like he would help. They could certainly use a guy like him up front on defense, but so could the Ravens. But I still believe in them. I still believe, if they can kind of turn around their luck with the health on defense. I believe in their coaching, and I still think that offense could be the best offense in the NFL. Tony Romo the other day was complaining a lot, and I think he's onto something. about just Derrick Henry not getting the ball enough. And I do think that's something that they have to sort of rediscover. It's also like in a game like Sunday, you get behind so much and you have to change, right? I mean, you have to be able to stay attached to teams and not let them get separation for him to, for him to factor in as much. But they got the Texans, the Rams, very tough. Bears, they got 3 straight home games coming up right now. I mean, I love them, even in their banged up state. I mean, I think they're going to win 2 of the 3. Then they have the Dolphins, the Vikings, the Browns, the Jets, the Bengals. I mean, they actually have a run here where they can get right before you finish with Bengals. Again, you get Bengals again. You get Bengals 2 out of 3 games. And the Bengals are just going to be bad. Then you have Patriots, Packers, and at Steelers to finish. I'm still believing in Baltimore.
So I'm with you on the Derrick Henry front because I was going to bring that up. The first game against Buffalo, 18 carries, 169 yards, 2 touchdowns. He averaged 9.4 a carry in that game against the Bills. And, obviously a crucial fumble at the end of that game that loses the game. He's had 2 huge fumbles this year. But since the Buffalo game, he had 11 carries for 23 yards against the Browns. As you said, Browns, very good defense. The Lions, 12 carries for 50 yards. And then against Kansas City, 8 carries for 42 yards. I think we all knew when he went to Baltimore, the days of Derrick Henry getting 27 and 28 and 30 carries in a game, for the most part, are probably over. I do think there's a little bit of a middle ground, though, between 28 carries and 8, which he got on Sunday in Kansas City. And I know the game got away from him on Sunday in Kansas City, and you basically get taken out of it if you're Derrick Henry at that point. But I do think they've got to be more intentional. And if Lamar Jackson's hurt, they will be more intentional of getting Derrick Henry the ball early and often in games.
Yeah, exactly. Now if he's hurt, how much less effective is it? Right? Who is their backup again?
God, who was that the other day? I don't even remember who was in the game.
I don't
I
remember
had one
either.
eye on it.
I'll have to double check. I'm not sure.
I mean,
it's not Stu
'cause
Huntley
they-
anymore, right?
It's Cooper Rush.
Like
That's who it
they've
was.
had, okay, because like they have had in the past tried to be more like stylistically, similar quarterback. Like to me, that's a team that would be as it is with Washington. Like Mariota would be a great backup for the Ravens,
Yep.
right? You could do a lot of the same stuff, but that's the
They're
thing.
not going to
like,
have Cooper
okay,
Rush running around out there.
Well, I mean, he's not Goff, who continues. I mean, Goff hasn't been sacked 3 straight games, but like, it's like it seriously is like watching like a one-winged chicken try to like, dodge wolves. I mean, it's like amazing. He seriously cannot move at all. But yeah, like if you take that element out of the Ravens offense, and then what does that mean, right? I mean, and then with their defense it's the hamstring thing could derail what I just said. I'm just can he miss a week and can they just sneak through in a nasty grinder against the Texans and then get him back for like a huge game against the Rams? If it's going to be like this week's thing, then man, which it would be sad because I don't think anybody can objectively watch them and not think they should be in the playoffs as one of the top teams contending for the Super Bowl. I just, I mean, even if you hate the Ravens, like they blew that Bills game with the all-time choke jobs ever. And look, if Derrick Henry doesn't fumble in that game, they win. And if he doesn't fumble against the Lions, they may well win, then maybe that's part of the usage thing with him too. But I still believe in him.
I don't think you're going to see a whole lot of Titans fans crying tears for the Ravens right now.
No,
that's my guess.
And they shouldn't. They shouldn't.
There are some people talking about should John Harbaugh be on the hot seat if this continues to go downhill. What do you think of that?
I think John Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin probably coach against each other until they're both 85 if they want to. And they might.
They might. They very well might. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. The Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode is coming up next. Coming up at 8 o'clock, we will get into Vanderbilt. They get the win against Utah State, setting up a huge one against Alabama. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game.
Sometimes he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. And sometimes he's just, well, Joe.
Awkward moment, let's do it.
This is the Rex Rant, now on Robby and Rexrode.
And I swear he looks like a diseased chicken.
He's trying to shepherd Callie through all this. I think that's really great.
He looks like a Sherpa on the sidelines taking people up a mountain.
Callahan's coming. Let's move. Get the trays. Move them.
It's like can't sit here.
Predictable that you're like a dog sniffing a butt.
There's sunlight. There's a dog's ass. It hits it sometimes.
It is that time of the day. Time for the Rex Rant. Brought to you by Functional Medicine of Tennessee. Rise up to better health. Check them out at functionalmedicineoftennessee.net. Joe Rexrode, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I actually have three three things here. So we'll see if I get to all three.
Triumvirate.
I'll go in order. Okay. That's right. Triumvirate. So let's talk a little bit about JV football PA announcers.
Okay.
And this has been building because I've been going to JV games, supporting our child, cheering in the sideline. And earlier this season, and my gosh, I'm not saying this to like avoid hurting anybody's feelings. I forget which place they were, but we went through an entire game with a PA announcer not having rosters, I guess, for either team, which is like, it's actually kind of infuriating. And I was like, now I've seen some situations where you're just reading the home team's names, right?
Yeah.
And then for some reason, he got our quarterback's name and would say that when he made a play, but then no one else's name. And I'm like, dude, like, give this guy a freaking roster. I think, PA announcers for JV games, it's kind of like, you're kind of, again, it's like JV, you're trying some stuff out. It's a little less formal. It's not, it's not Friday night with all the stands packed, right? So I understand that, you try some different things, you have a little fun. And I've even seen for varsity games, some PA announcers get a little bit too much. Let's get bumped, everybody. But yeah, you can see that NFL games. Get up 3 sacks. So you see that. But I gotta say, first of all, last night, because I'm a trooper, even though I felt sick as a dog, maybe a little fresh air would be good. So we went out Brentwood High to support our JV team, and I'm not doing this because I'm bitter that we lost 14-13. Fantastic comeback, missed a 2-point conversion at the end, and I don't think they called a single penalty on Brentwood the entire night. Not bitter.
Jeez.
Okay, but I've never seen this one before. It's it's like third and it's like, or maybe it's like four. Yeah, I think we had like fourth and 3, 4th and 4, something like that. And the P&L was like, all right, Nolensville's going to go for it. Watch the hard count, defense. Watch out for the hard count. It's probably coming right here. Like, dude, shut up. You're a PA announcer. You're not a freaking coach. If you want to coach and go tell the players stuff, go down to the sideline. You can't do that, right? That's ridiculous.
I've never even heard of that happening before.
And we did try to hard count, and they didn't jump. You can't,
make sure you hold your
a,
water here. Hold your water, defensive line.
And there was a lot of stuff like that. Like some of the extra commentary, come on, man.
Oh yeah.
But some of the extra stuff is fine. But you can't actually be involved in the game, right? As a PA announcer,
I would agree.
That's so. Brentwood High, clean it up, and you got lucky last night.
Jeez.
All right, next thing I want to touch on, I think I gotta call out D-Mace a little bit. And maybe it's just a little bit of not having Stillfeld around to beat up on. We can still make fun of him. But it's different when he's not here and screaming at each other every week and stuff like that. So it's hard. It's hard to find other people at our station to ridicule. I'm not ridiculing D-Mace, but I got to say, I strongly disagree. Did you hear him talking about Cam Ward?
I did not.
Yesterday? He basically, to summarize, and I hope I get this right, he basically, I don't know if he chided him or scolded him, but he did not like we ass. And he said that's basically, it's a bad choice of words. A running back can say it, a linebacker can say it, a receiver can say it, but the quarterback can't say we ass. And am I biased because we ass is so damn funny that it really does need to be on about 1 million t-shirts in Nashville now? Maybe, but I do disagree. I don't think there's anything wrong with someone just coming out and saying this team stinks right now, right? We are bad right now. I think that's a refreshing moment of accountability. And I don't think that's something that, and I think part of D-Mace's point was how's that taken in the locker room? I don't think it's, I don't think
they know
you're at risk. Yeah. I don't think you're at risk for being taken wrong there. I think that, I think that they asked and he said we asked, and he's right. And I think that that's actually and Willie made this point, and I agree. The entirety of the quote is very good. There's accountability for him. He talks about other parts of the team, but he talks about himself.
Yeah.
Missing throws and stuff like that. Like, it wasn't just we ass. It's just that we ass.
As much as I wish it was.
Beautiful. Yeah, just that's all. Hey, your press conference. Your thoughts, Cam. We ass. Thank you. Good night. I disagree with D-Mace. I don't think that you needed a different choice of words. I think it was basically like, you need to soften a little bit. No, it's not. At this point, it's not a situation where you need to soften it. It's that bad. And even though he's a rookie, even though he's a quarterback, I think it was a step again toward him being a real leader. Now, he's got to be a good quarterback to really be a good leader for this team, right? His performance at some point has to validate him as a leader. But I think just that part of what he's done so far, the public front-facing, with teammates, but also, at the podium with media and stuff, I think he's done a terrific job, and I think that was great. And I don't think it's just because we ass is so funny, but maybe it is because I keep having to find a way to say we ass. Okay. All right. Do we have time for the third one?
Oh yeah, we got time. Number 3.
Okay. This is actually a good topic, but we were going back and forth with Robert here on the text line about, my point that the straight up drawn up plays aspect of football, it's not there. This is a big one for me. It's a big, I think, pet peeve that people actually think that this is nuclear science or this is chemical engineering. I mean, it is not hard. It really isn't. There's 11. It's not hard to understand. It's not hard to do, I don't think either. Like if you go through the process of being in football, right? I mean, first of all, football is cyclical and it's very copycat. Everybody, look at this concept and we're all going to do it now. It worked. Hey, Wildcat, let's all do that. Oh, the read options back in college football. Let's all do that. I mean, there's 11 people on a field. I don't think it's hard to drop route concepts that get people open, and so my point was, if Robert's like, well, Joe, since it's not that hard, you should be the OC. Titans fans use it. I'm like, look, if you want to go through the process of getting to those jobs, which means several years, you're going to be a grad, you're going to be an analyst, you're going to be a QC guy in the NFL, which means you work all day long, every day, and you get no money for years. Then yeah, you can get to that. This is part of why I think nepotism is so prevalent is that a lot of these guys who can go through those years have a dad who's like successful coach and they got the money to survive those years, right? I mean, like the biggest demand on this is, can you go that long without making a damn thing as opposed to going into an industry and actually getting a legitimate salary and not grinding yourself to dust. But the actual football, like any dork on the street can sit here and break down film. We see it everywhere. It's all over the internet. It's not like, I think people hold it like this incredibly difficult thing. The hard part about coaching is being the people. The hard part about coaching is being good enough with people and being smart enough about people to hire the right people and to pick the right players and to somehow get everybody together pulling in one direction and execute things at a high enough level. Of course, schematics and X's and O's are a big part of that. The smartest guys, there are people who are just smarter than others, like McVay, right? But that's not the magic of coaching. Magic of coaching is being a people person and being able to figure out that part of it. So there you go. There's 3. I hit 3.
That's nicely done. 3 rants from Rexrode for the price of 1. Really good stuff there on that front. Let's quickly hit our 1025 The Game phone line. Welcome in Trey, who has been waiting patiently. Trey, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, good morning. How y'all doing?
Doing good, man.
Hey, I was looking at this one Facebook post yesterday on the comparison in between Will Levis and Cam Ward. And the post basically said that Will Levis had 6 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. Cam Ward had 1 touchdown to 2 interceptions. And I saw the comparison as saying basically that Will Levis up to this point had a better year starting off than Cam Ward. And I want y'all opinion on, do y'all think that Will Levis had a better year starting out than Cam Ward? And do you think that Cam Ward has the opportunity to progress upward in his trying to get this team better? And y'all have a good day.
Thank you, Trey. Appreciate it. I think the post he's referring to, Pete Prisco, was on somewhere yesterday. It basically was like, Will Levis had nothing going for him and nothing around him, and he was better than Cam Ward. So why is Will Levis getting all this stuff? It was some of the same conversation that we had heard from Titans fans over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, the Levis stuff. Ooh. Yeah, I hope we don't go too far into that, man. Like it's
rant number 4.
I mean, I think, gosh, haven't we already done that one? I mean, I'm sure it'll come up again, but like the two things being true thing here, it is very possible that all this stuff is so bad right now, and that he was still bad last year. It's, in fact, it's factual.
I would agree. And as
I
far
just
as
said, in fact, it's factual.
as far as Ward eventually growing into it, yes, I think he can. I mean, we're 4 games into Cam Ward's career, so I'm not really ready to make any sort of declarative statements on him to this point. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We will get into some Vanderbilt football coming up next. A big game against Alabama coming up this weekend. In fact, I was thinking about it yesterday. Heading into the game, is this the biggest Vanderbilt game of my lifetime? We'll get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. Vanderbilt gets the win over the weekend to improve to 5-0. They win 55-35 against Utah State. And, Joe, that sets up the matchup against Alabama coming up this weekend. College game day will be on hand in Tuscaloosa. You have Alabama fresh off a huge win on the road at the Georgia Bulldogs. And it will be number 10 Alabama, number 16 Vanderbilt coming up on Saturday. And as we discussed yesterday, it's got to be, I'd be stunned if not, the first time Vanderbilt has been the road team for a college game day broadcast. Got to be. So amazing on that front. And I was thinking about this in the aftermath of that discussion yesterday, Joe. Is this the biggest Vanderbilt game of my lifetime? Is this the biggest Vanderbilt game ever? Like when you start to really look back at it. And I'm not talking about result, because I think it's going to be hard to replicate last year, right? Like Vanderbilt takes down number 1 Alabama. You know, the goalposts are being strewn all over the place on Broadway. It was awesome. It was great, all those things. But that was because of the result. You know, Vanderbilt wasn't ranked heading into that game. Well, you're talking about number 16 Vanderbilt, number 10 Alabama in this one. An undefeated Vanderbilt team at 5-0. I think you can make a pretty darn good argument this is the biggest Vanderbilt game on paper heading into a matchup of my life, dating back 33 years.
Yeah, and mine, which goes back a little more than that, almost 20 more than that. Yeah, I think so. You know, I would look at 08, the other game day game. I believe the only other time Vanderbilt has been a college game day game. But that's also, and I guess we could turn this into a discussion about college football today versus then, but that was a huge game. It was number 19 Vanderbilt. It was Bobby Johnson was the coach. This is before Franklin, of course. But it was number 19 Vanderbilt, number 13 Auburn coming in to Nashville. Game day showed up. Vanderbilt had already beaten a ranked South Carolina team, which sounds familiar. And it also won at Ole Miss. So had another good, road win, and was 4-0 and number 13 against number 19. And so game day jumped on it, and Vanderbilt beats Auburn, by the way, 14-13. Vanderbilt fans remember it. Started 5-0.
Yep.
But here's the thing. The reality of that team was, obviously, it was a special Vanderbilt team. I mean, we're talking about a 53-year bowl victory drought ended that year with a win over Boston College in the Music City Bowl. But that was for a 6-6 Vanderbilt team. And I think you knew realistically with games like at Georgia, with Florida, I think that was Tebow, Florida, right? I believe so. Yeah, Tennessee, there were games that that team was going to lose a bunch of games realistically. And they did. They were close. They lost a really close on Mississippi State. Georgia was only 24-14. They did get blown out by Florida. Tennessee beat them 20-10. But, that team, there was look, and again, at that time in college football, what does it mean? Well, obviously it's a special season. For Vanderbilt, it's can we get to a bowl game? Can we win a bowl game? That's what it is. Well, in college football today, first of all, Vanderbilt can lose this game. So I guess, again, to your point, not liking the expanded playoff, I guess you reduce the stakes when you say that. But also, this Vanderbilt team can look at the whole picture and say, why can't we be in this 12-team playoff? I wouldn't predict it right now. I wouldn't guess it'll happen. I still think the schedule is just really tough to get that done. But if you win this game, if you beat Bama for a second year in a row, now I think that you can look at the rest of the schedule, especially with LSU's struggles and Auburn's offensive struggles and Texas's offensive struggles, and really believe it could happen. So, first of all, to answer your question, I don't think there's any question. I don't think there's any question that this is the biggest. And especially, Bama, that alone still means something more than just a big game, right? But also, this team actually has a chance to be at the table with the big boys at the end. And that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it is. Like it's been dominant so far for Vanderbilt, right? I mean, you're talking about double-digit 20-point margin of victories at least in every game so far. Now, South Carolina, that's a big win for them on the road, right? And we'll see, as the season goes on, what South Carolina continues to turn into. Charleston Southern, we know what that is. Virginia Tech's not very good. Georgia State, Utah State. And now we're into the meat of Vanderbilt's schedule. I mean, it's Alabama, LSU, Missouri, Texas, Auburn, Kentucky, Tennessee from here on out. So we're into the meat of it now for Vanderbilt. So you've brought up the defensive concerns. That's a big challenge this weekend going on the road against Alabama and what I thought was a really good offensive performance for them. And I know the second half they didn't do much against Georgia, but I thought Ty Simpson looked really good. Ryan Williams, when he's not just lazily loafing through a route out there, is still one of the most dangerous players in all of college football. So Vanderbilt's going to have their hands full on defense this weekend. But to your point, like offensively, I think they have put together a formula with Pavia at quarterback, and now the surrounding cast. I don't think there's any doubt about it, Joe. The surrounding cast is better this year than it was last year. Like, they're just a more dangerous football team than they were a year ago. I think the Vanderbilt offense is going to be able to put up some points on the road at Alabama. Like, it's got a big time game feel to it. That's probably the best way I describe it. It's got a big time game feel to it, and I don't know how many times I can say that about a Vanderbilt game.
Exactly. Like last year after they beat Bama, like they had Texas coming in. And so, for example, I mean, that was a big game, but you still like at that point, as exciting and fun as Pavia and the offense were, actually they did have, some serious struggle. The overall offensive numbers weren't what you think, like it's not how you remember that season. Again, they had some, I mean, overall it was like the overhaul was amazing, but it's still like you still had doubts about that. And again, I'm sitting here saying this, and I'm going to be in Tuscaloosa Saturday for this sucker, and I hope it's a great game. And I still like I watched Bama this week, and I'm like, boy, Vandy's defense, man. I don't know if Simpson's going to play like that. And now all of a sudden those offense, I mean, you got Caden Proctor up there freaking catching screen passes.
Yeah, that was terrifying.
Look, yeah, like how scary he is. I do. I have my doubts about like their defense in this matchup, but because their offense is so good, I'm like, you know what? They might be able to be there at the end in a shootout. And last year they beat Bama. They had already lost to Georgia State.
Exactly.
And they had just dropped a killer to a double overtime killer at Missouri that they probably should have won. So then you get to the next big game. Now they did win at Kentucky the week after Bama too, which was good. I mean, that's a big win. And Pavia's hurt. You get to the next big game, it ends up 27-24 against Texas, but like you still had doubts. And then South Carolina thumps them, and they kind of fade out. They had the amazing start against Tennessee, but really Tennessee dominated. What the last certainly the last 3 quarters of that game, right?
Yeah.
So this team, I think it's a flat out better team, and I do think better defensively. I just still have my questions against some of the better offenses that they're going to see. But the thing is, this week is I think we're starting to see Bama turn into something scary. But again, there are some of these scheduled opponents ahead that are much worse on offense than I ever would have guessed. LSU and Texas both. They're supposed to be who's going to be the number 1 pick in the draft quarterbacks for these teams, lighting up scoreboards, and they can't do anything.
Said to our 1025 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Tim to the program. Tim, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Hey guys, every time someone talks about us right now being 5-0, one of the first things they say, well, we don't think we can make it to the playoffs. How many people thought we would be 5-0 at this point to the season either?
Oh, not very many.
Exactly. So the one thing you're talking about Vanderbilt's offense. We got the 3rd-ranked offense in the country, maybe the highest scoring offense in the country. Now, yeah, Alabama's and Simpson's playing good. And everybody talks about now after last week he was the Heisman front runner. His numbers are not as good as Pavia's. How's he a front runner?
Well, look, thank you for the call, Tim.
Play for Alabama.
I don't put a whole lot of stock into Heisman front runners when we're not in October yet. Like I think people get way too caught up in Heisman conversations before it really even matters at this point. We're going to start to find out. Like I tell you this, if you want Diego Pavia in the Heisman Trophy conversation when the year's over, Joe, go out there this weekend as the calendar flips to October and take down Alabama on the road. It'll go a long way to doing that, right? Like we're getting into the meat of the college football season where these performances are really going to start to matter now.
Absolutely. And when we come back, I'll tell you a little bit of Heisman information on Diego Pavia because Robby's excited about it.
We'll do that. We'll get the Heisman talk going. Coming up next, Alabama, Vanderbilt, a huge game on Saturday. Take your thoughts on that. 615-737-1025. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
A lot of excitement, Clark, about the game on Saturday after what happened last season. I know that you are probably just starting to sit down and sift through all of the Crimson Tide film, but I would love your initial scouting report on Alabama. What did you see on tape from the Crimson Tide's big win at Georgia over the weekend?
Well, listen, this is a really talented team. It's a good team. And, there's not a lot of flaws for them offensively. The quarterback's played really well. It seems like he's developed chemistry in the offense. And I think with each week, his performance has strengthened. They were able to possess the ball and convert on third downs against Georgia and maintain possession. I thought they were explosive in their screen game. And, it's just they were all around really solid. I think the offense kind of led the charge. Defensively, they played well too and bowed up when they needed to, made it hard on Georgia to find space. And again, this is a good team. It's really going to be about us. It's going to be about how we prepare, how we go down and play. I'm interested in our program showing up and playing our best game. And if we do that, we're going to have a chance at the result we want. Obviously, if we don't, then the conversation is going to be about Alabama and their talent and how good they're playing. So we're going to focus on us and obviously with an awareness of what makes them good and what their strengths and weaknesses are. But I want our guys to go down playing with confidence and again, playing our game.
That's Clark Lee on with DVD yesterday, looking ahead to the matchup against Alabama. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Rexrode, you got some Diego Pavia Heisman stuff you want to share? You giving him the trophy?
Well, no, but today is the first day. We have waited. You're right. It's technically still September, but basically it's October. Today is the first Heisman straw poll at the Athletic. Mitch Sherman has taken over duties for me, which is nice. I don't have to chase people down for their votes.
It's good.
But I would just like to report that Diego Pavia is third right now. 2 first-place votes, 3 second-place votes, 2 third-place votes, 14 points. Ty Simpson all the way down at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but 9th with a second and a third for only 4 points. So, it's so early. I mean, there's a million people on here, including Chris Brazzell, by the way, got a second-place vote. And I'm a little confused as to why Aguilar would not be anywhere on here. But let's see. Dante Moore first with 41. Fernando Mendoza second with 36. Then Pavia 14. Then you go Reuben Bain, John Mateer, Jeremiah Smith, Carson Beck, Ahmad Hardy, Ty Simpson, Haynes King, Mekhi Lemon, Jeremiah Love, Chris Brazzell, Trinidad Chambliss, Mario Craver, and Jordan Tyson.
There you go.
So that's where we are. A million candidates. But I think Pavia is getting – I've seen other things, maybe on 3. Other people have been putting their stuff out there, and Pavia has been prominently mentioned. Like you said, he lights up Alabama this week, and they go win. Well, he's the first week of October front runner for the Heisman. Doesn't mean, Hendon Hooker at one point in 2022, when they beat Alabama, like he was the clear favorite to win the Heisman, so you gotta let the season play out. But I think he's getting plenty of respect.
Yeah, I do too. Like there's a lot of football left to be played. And look, like Vanderbilt, to their credit, has absolutely dominated their competition so far. We got a texter here talking about, if Sellers doesn't get hurt against South Carolina, the game's a different story. We'll see. I mean, I don't know. Like maybe it would have been. I think Vanderbilt was doing pretty well against South Carolina before that. Would South Carolina have figured things out in the second half with Sellers if he was still in there? Maybe. So we'll never know the answer to that. But the bottom line is Vanderbilt has dominated everybody that has been put in front of them to this point.
And they dominated South Carolina's defense.
They did.
That's something that Sellers could not have helped.
Exactly. So, I mean, we're getting ready to find out. I mean, the next 4 weeks, we're going to learn a lot. It's Alabama, LSU, Missouri, and Texas is our next 4 games. So we're going to learn a whole lot about Vanderbilt, what they are. Look, Joe, I mean, they could lose all 4 of those. I mean, they absolutely could lose all 4 of those games. They could also roll off a few wins in those, and that's what we're talking about here of, Vanderbilt with a legitimate chance. And Ian asked me about this before the show this morning, and it's just fun to think about. Like getting to November the 29th, the last game of the year, Tennessee and Vanderbilt, and could that game actually mean something in terms of like a college football playoff berth for both teams? It's still a long way away from that right now, but it's not totally impossible when you look at both teams' path here.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, that would be amazing. And again, like this is where, we can disagree, but like if you had a game like that, which otherwise would have been in the old days, would have been, Tennessee is hoping to get a New Year's Day bowl, maybe the Capital One Bowl, and Vanderbilt, boy, they might even get, the Gator Bowl. But instead, that game is gigantic, and it isn't that you don't have to be undefeated and the top two teams in the country playing for the national title. It's just to get into the tournament, Now again, like where does it stop to where you like how far do you go, to expand it to where games like that are significant? But if that were the case, like that, would that not be the biggest Vanderbilt Tennessee game ever?
I mean, probably. I'd have to go back and do some research in the early 1900s.
Yeah.
1923.
Yeah.
Dan McGugan against Major Nealand. I mean, but like a century. And that's only because of the expanded playoff. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, I can make the same argument that it makes games at the end of the year essentially meaningless as well, like Ohio State, Michigan last year.
But that's okay. We can make those arguments. It's all good.
Yep. No, and that's fair. I mean, it's absolutely. I mean, I'm not discounting that. It's just like it's kind of like what overall gives you more value.
Matthew in
But
Nashville
for that game, it would be awesome.
Oh yeah, for sure. Matthew in Nashville says Vandy is a good team this year, but your station needs to pump the brakes on Diego for the Heisman campaign and Vandy making the playoffs. End of your 41-year losing streak in Tuscaloosa, and then we can have that conversation about the playoff.
But see, here's the thing, Matthew. So let's say they go to Bama on Saturday and they lose, 38-31. They lose a hard-fought game where they belong on the field with Alabama. No, they don't need to end the 41-year drought at Alabama to make the playoff. They're looking at LSU with a real questionable offense. They're looking at Missouri at home, and they're going to Texas. Then they have Auburn and Kentucky at home before so they could, if they take care of business at home, and I think they actually could at this point. As I'm watching these teams, I think it's possible they could take care of business at home. They are playing for the playoff in Knoxville.
Yeah.
Even with the loss at Alabama, even with the loss in Austin. So you're wrong. I mean, that's just the reality of the situation is you don't have to end the drought. Now, if they go get blown out this week, that I think maybe there's a little bit of, first of all, you lose some confidence if you're them. It probably means, that defense still has some holes that are just going to be, going to be exposed more. And maybe, you look at things differently. But I think a competitive loss this week is more evidence that they actually have a shot.
It's kind of amazing to me, like what people hear sometimes when we're talking. Like one texter says, lose all four of those. Come on, man. This segment is making me nauseous, trying to downplay my Vandy boys. This happens once every 1,000 years. Can we just enjoy it? And even if we sound stupid, can we be obnoxiously optimistic? I mean, you can do whatever you want. But
we
if
got
you're
opposing complaints about what we're saying right now.
Yeah, like there's some people think we're giving Vanderbilt way too much credit, and so I guess the pointing out that it's possible they may lose to Alabama, LSU, Missouri, and Texas, who are all top 20 teams in the United States of America right now, is somehow like downplaying Vanderbilt right now. No, it's not.
Yes.
You can be as optimistic as you want. Look, it's a great story. I mean, it's one of, if not the best stories in college football right now.
Exactly. And they could win and they could lose. These things are both possible. Sorry for pointing it out to all of you.
They are.
Sorry to everybody for pointing out that there are different scenarios that could happen.
By the way, Alabama, a 10.5-point favorite on the FanDuel Sportsbook. And somebody pointed out earlier, why in the world is Alabama more of a favorite against Vanderbilt than Texas is on the road against Florida? -6.5, by the way.
Because Florida is talented. And if you've been watching Florida, like Lagway has been bad. Their offense has been terrible. Their defense is like legit.
Yeah.
Their defense their defense stuffed Miami almost that entire game. So that's why they haven't stopped playing and they still have a ton of talent. I think those lines are, I thought maybe Bama Vanderbilt would end up like 8.5, 9-ish, but I'm not surprised that it's low double figures.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll take more of your thoughts on Vanderbilt, Alabama. We'll get back into the Titans coming up as well. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Some strong takes on Vanderbilt. I mean, we got Otis in the YouTube chat saying the Heisman Trophy doesn't mean anything. A lot of stuff going on the chats today. Heisman Trophy doesn't mean a thing.
It's the most storied individual award in American sports, I think. Am I wrong about that? I guess you could say Cy Young Award would be some, like things that we've been talking about since the early 1900s.
Winning the Masters. It's an individual award.
I guess that
Doesn't mean anything.
What do you get for that? You get like a gold jacket, right? Isn't that what Happy Gilmore got? Gold jacket? Yeah.
It's a green jacket. Thank you. A lot of disrespect in Rexrode, the world of golf this week. A lot of disrespect.
No, I think, hey, if more people are throwing beer on other people, I might start getting interested.
Tally ho! Yeah, boy. We'll see.
Nice trousers, guys. Nice trousers, you great athletes.
The one thing I'll say on the Vanderbilt front is they're not sneaking up on Alabama, right? Like, we know this from Ryan Williams in the offseason of they want to make Vanderbilt the ant or whatever it was he said. Like, it's going to be full attention from Alabama directed to Vanderbilt this week, and we'll see if Vanderbilt can go in there and handle it. I'm really looking forward to it. Like, I'm especially Diego Pavia and that offense. What can they get done in this game against what I still think, Joe, is a talented Alabama defense? I do think it's not, 2009 Bama defense walking around out there. I mean, Georgia ran the ball really well on Alabama this weekend. And I know it's a different style of attack from Vanderbilt as to what you're going to see with Georgia, but I'm interested to see what the offense can get done against Alabama, and can you keep Alabama's offense off the field?
Yeah, no doubt. And obviously, this is where you do have to, in NFL and college football, be careful about taking something from like week one and thinking it's still the case. But
Correct.
Boy, did they look terrible on defense in that week. They've gotten better. There's no question. You're right. Georgia had success, and Georgia really screwed it up, frankly, on Saturday night. And I don't know. It's like, I don't know what to think of Georgia either at this point. It makes me not know what to think of Tennessee. I mean, the transitive lineage so far of college football, like I did this the other day. I think I need to like write this out for myself, but like you can basically get to, okay, so Indiana's the best team in college football, and they just had to grind one out at Iowa. Not that like that's what happens when any team goes to Iowa. You have to win like 17-13. Like that's like a rule of like human nature. But yeah, like Alabama's not overwhelming, and I do think that Vanderbilt's offense can absolutely have success in this game. They have speed. They have multiple backs who are playing well. I thought Stowers looked like a guy last week. He had a stretch there where it's like, okay, see, he is a problem. And I don't think that Vanderbilt has quote unquote held things back. They've played some big games. They've won 2 big games on the road, but they've got wrinkles, and the way Pavia is placing the football right now is just so beyond. Like last year, I was like, great athlete, what a grinder, what a leader, what a bulldog. And man, he can't throw it that well, and I don't think that anymore. And I'm not saying someone on the text line asked about the Titans drafting him, and there you go. I don't know that he's a draftable quarterback prospect, but I'm starting to open my eyes to like at least the possibility. And that is shocking to say. If I went back a year ago and told myself that a year from now you'd say that, I would not believe it.
So we'll see if Vanderbilt gets it done on Saturday at Alabama. We have a lot more coming on that game this week here on the program. Brian Callahan addressing the media yesterday and was asked about his job status and whether or not he's gotten any assurances moving forward. Here's what Brian Callahan had to say on that front.
Do you have assurances that you're going to be able to see this through this season, where you're not looking over your shoulder after every Sunday?
Yeah, I don't, whether I do or I don't, or it doesn't matter to me. my job is to try to put our team in position to win as many games as possible and to keep coaching until the day comes that they don't want me to coach here anymore. And that's the reality for everybody that coaches in the league. You don't think too much about it. I don't look for assurances. I can tell you I've always been supported here. I've always felt like the people that I have to work with on a day-to-day basis believe in what we're doing and how we're doing it. But again, I also know how the NFL works. So yeah, I go in every day and I work as hard as I possibly can to try to put ourselves in good position. And I do that for as long as they'll have me. And that's the only way I've ever known how to work. That's how I've worked every spot I've ever been. Your assurances come from how you play and you win. That's at the end of the day. That's just how it always goes. So we got to get ourselves to that spot.
So that was Brian Callahan yesterday, Joe. I guess my biggest takeaway from the Callahan press conference yesterday was he really didn't say anything all that egregious, which has not been the case over the last few weeks here. So I thought it was a normal press conference on the Monday after a loss yesterday, Joe. I was expecting it to be maybe a little bit more heated than it ended up being.
Yeah, I guess it's just like there wasn't anything controversial to ask about, right? Like you got through just the overall drudgery and dread of that awful performance on Sunday, and Kaharski came with what sign in the building can I cite? And Callahan. I know that I didn't even read the thing Kaharski sent to us. Is it good? Like, was it awful announcing?
Yeah, I mean it's basically the headline of it. I read it. The headline of it was like Brian Callahan's fed up with Paul Kuharsky, and he goes through the history of their interactions so far this year.
There's some history in it.
Well, I mean, it's talking about like week one, and PK was getting up there and asking about the clock at the end of the game and all these things, or the play calls. Do you know the play calls, Paul? Paul, did you have the play calls in front of you? And it was basically saying like Kuharsky was asking fair questions, so it was taking PK's side on that front.
Yeah. Don't mess with Paul Kuharsky.
Well, did you know the play, Paul?
Maybe McAfee's what's his buddy's name? His little buddy who's a Titans fan, apparently.
It's Boston Connor.
That's Boston Connor,
yeah.
But he's a Titans fan?
He's not a Titans fan. He's a Patriots fan.
No, but he's still
he knows who Paul Kuharsky is, though.
Good for you, those Patriots fans. Maybe they'll hit it up a little bit. But yeah, it's like, I mean, basically, I mean, if that's your question on Sunday, if you're already digging for like some slogan that you want to try to see if you can bait him into screaming at you about, then you are kind of left Monday with, Kuharsky basically turns into, I'm the wind beneath your wings, where's the hope? And then he says, there is hope and it's getting to the other side. And then now it's like Kuharsky's trying to lead him to the other side. It's actually kind of a beautiful thing. But yeah, in all seriousness, it's like, do you think you're gonna get fired? I mean, I don't know. And then, okay, well, who they play this week? Oh, how about those Cardinals? Let's get to the Cardinals tomorrow.
Well, he was asked about whether or not there's a feeling of hopelessness in the building from Kuharsky. Here's what Brian Callahan had to say on that front.
Is there a sense of hopelessness in the building, Brian?
Hopelessness? I sure hope not. I don't feel hopeless. I know that. I don't sense that from anybody that works in our building. I don't sense that from our players. Look, we're in a rough stretch. We're 0-4, and that doesn't feel good. No one's excited about that, but I do feel their willingness and there's an excitement about trying to climb out of it too. There's something about that's real competitors relish that challenge, and I think we got a bunch of competitors on our team and on our coaching staff and in our building that are going to fight like crazy to turn this thing, man. That's the fun part about these jobs is you get in these adverse situations and you're trying to find a way out. And trust me, I've done it before, been a part of it before in a couple places, but that reward and that feeling there's nothing like it. And then that's what keeps me going is that moment we can find a way to get it turned is really something that you can't find anywhere, that feeling of accomplishment. And I think that's what drives us. And I think our guys are excited about the chance to go try to prove it.
Hopelessness? I hope not. I sure hope there's no hopelessness out there.
I'm hopeful that the hopelessness hopefully doesn't exist.
Yeah,
I will say, like, is that really the fun? Isn't it more fun to just like be awesome and win?
yeah.
I mean, like, it's really fun to be be on the verge of being fired and be in a hole and then somehow dig out of it. I think it'd be more fun to just like have better players and win. But hey, man, one thing we'll say: whenever Brian Callahan's done, whether it's next week or the year 2037, is he has a positive. A way to push things in a positive direction with just about anything you can come up with.
Unless it's Kuharski in the immediate aftermath of a game.
Yeah. But even then he's like,
I'm going to compose myself.
I'm going to compose myself. And okay, here we go. And it's like, how many people, if you were that sick of Kuharski at that point, like how many coaches can do that?
Not very many. 615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. Final thoughts on the Titans. We'll take them on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyUnder.com. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 the game.
Where's he in terms of knowing everything, Mike?
Everything? Yeah, I mean, I don't think everybody besides you knows everything.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Taking your thoughts on the Titans. The B-Man says, this team is getting worse. What is Callahan even talking about? Like, I think we have reached the point with Callahan where Joe, with the fan base, it doesn't really matter what he says right now. There's going to be some negative reaction to it, whatever it is. That's just what losing does at this point. And he's 3-18 as the coach. So I get it. That's the way it's going to be with the fan base. I did not find anything really especially wrong with what he said yesterday in his press conference.
Yeah, I mean, it is a hell of a challenge if you're him to show up every day to me and just keep the blinders on and actually see if you can figure out a way to have your team play good football through all this stuff. So now, can he? I mean, I have my doubts. We'll find out on the next Sunday. But and that's how you have to do it, right? I mean, you have to do it. Like, if you're an NFL coach, people get fired very easily in this league.
Yep.
You also know that you're going to get paid if you get fired very well, and you're going to be fine. So there is that too. But I do want to read this from Ricky, who says, I don't mean this at all towards you two, but why is the Nashville media constantly rooting for coaches to be fired and fail when it's the owner's fault, gives them no chance to win with the players they have? Talks about the Toronto Maple Leafs. We never wish for improvement. How about giving the guy a draft class or two to get his players in? How about getting a number one receiver whose number doesn't match how many big catches he makes? And I told him, like we went into this season hoping that we wouldn't have dog doo-doo football to talk about every week or a coach being on the hot seat to talk about. And this is why all this stuff again, Robby, like what record will it take? 0-4 doesn't shock anybody. It's not about 0-4. It's about what has gone on in the 0-4. So if you don't think 3-18 at this point, given all the issues that have been around it, especially this year, puts a coach in the hot seat, you don't follow the NFL.
Well, there's way too much of this going on around here, which is, well, you got to wait until the conditions are borderline perfect to start judging the coach. And that's just not how professional sports work. We all understand that the roster is not good for the Tennessee Titans. Again, with each passing week, I think the roster gets exaggerated for not good it is. Like, this is not the worst roster in the history of the National Football League that the Titans are rolling out there. And the bottom line is, objectively, with things that have nothing to do with the roster, there have been some horrible decisions this year. The team looks like it's getting worse. So again, we're not waiting until all the conditions around the coaching staff are exactly perfect to then begin judge the coaching staff. That's just not how things work in professional sports. Does it help when you have a better roster? Of course it does. Would Brian Callahan have a better roster if he had a better record, if he had a better roster? Of course he would. But there are also some things that you look for when you're judging a coach that are independent of the roster. And one of those is, like, does he elevate the roster that you have? Like, are they getting better? Are they outperforming in some cases every now and then the roster that they have? And the answer far too often has been no.
Yeah, it's what it is. Like, I don't think that anyone in Nashville media. And again, I always feel like I'm like defending Nashville media. It's like some people say it's soft, and Callahan apparently thinks Nashville media is just vicious.
Yeah.
But I don't think that people in Nashville media are quote unquote rooting for him to lose his job. It's just like, I mean, with him and Andrew Burnett, it's just like, I mean, if this is the product, that's what's going to be talked about. And
I'm rooting for good sports.
Generally,
good sports
that'd be
teams.
great.
That's what I'm rooting for.
Coaches generally and GMs generally don't take over at places that are winning big, right?
Yeah.
And yet a lot of places, especially in the NFL, the turnarounds are rapid, snap your fingers fast. Like when John Robinson came in here, for example, with Mike Mularkey. Anybody remember that? Yeah, they learned how to block somebody, and all of a sudden they were 9-7, going from 5-27 in 2 years. This is what it's supposed to be in the NFL.
Yeah, exactly. Look, you're not going to find too many people that want to not talk about a bad football team more than me. Like, I'm so tired of talking about the Titans. I really am. Like, just to be totally honest, I'm so tired of talking about the Titans and how bad they are. But it is what it is. It's the NFL team in town. And eventually, at some point, I think they're going to be good again somewhere down the line. And I remember those times, Joe. I remember when they were good and they were going to the AFC title game and they were winning the divisions. And it was fun, right? Like, it was fun to talk about. It was fun to get to a Monday morning show and actually get into like deep breakdowns of the game and where things went wrong. And then you have a show like yesterday on Monday where it's like, well, they didn't score any points and they lost again and they've lost 10 in a row. Like, it beats you down. It beats us down. So believe me, I'm not rooting for anybody to fail around here, but you have to call things how you see it.
Yeah. It's, it's, I don't know. I know that Ricky has said multiple times, I'm not talking about you two, but I guess
I'm talking in general too. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think anybody's rooting. I mean, again, I don't think anybody like, I'd be surprised if anybody personally disliked Brian Callahan. That'd be surprising because I think he's hard to dislike personally, but plenty of nice people can't coach. And, again, to go to this earlier point that some people have a problem with. No, I think Brian Callahan's scheme is fine. His play calling is probably better than Bo Hardegree's based on what we've seen. It's fine, but the CEO aspect of this job, which is still a thing, even if you're the offensive play calling head coach, that's where obviously he's failed pretty severely at this point.
That does it for us today. Next man up with Jake Lyman coming up next. You're listening to 102.5 The Game.